Welcome to the presentation on politics administration dichotomy. This politics administration dichotomy is going to help the students of undergraduation and post-graduation as the basis of differences between political science and public administration. This course is a part of the UGC curriculum on the introduction to public administration for undergraduate students. In the previous discussions, we had a talk on Wilson's contributions on the study of administration. So, Woodrow Wilson's basic article, The Study of Administration, has given a path to all over the world to understand the importance of the study of administration separately from the political science. So, he discussed the importance of the state, government, and how the public administration is according to the character of the state, nature of the state. To continue his arguments, Woodrow Wilson's another important aspect was politics administration dichotomy. It was Woodrow Wilson actually who made one of the first dogmatic distinction between politics and administration. The students has to keep in the mind that he himself said the public administration is the latest fruit of political science tree. The interrelation is very clear. Without political system, without governmental activity, without constitution, there is no administration. But at the same time, there is a distinction between politics and administration. All of our discussion today is related to that. One, Woodrow Wilson and his contribution to the politics administration dichotomy. Two, Frank G. Goodnow and his opinions on the politics administration dichotomy. Prior to examining the relationship between administration and politics, Wilson defined public administration as follows. Public administration is detailed and systematic execution of public law. Every particular application of general law is an act of administration. He never mentioned about the political system. He never mentioned about the public policy making. He never mentioned about the government things. He mentioned each and every execution is public law. The broad plans of governmental action are not administrative. The detailed execution of such plans is administration. Government is having many plans. A million house scheme will be there. Poverty elevation of all the people in the country is there. All these were a government action plans, but execution of such plans is administration. Thus, Wilson states that the first object of administrative study is to discover what government can properly and successfully do. This is a description of central concern of politics, but his paper is devoted largely to arguing the separability of politics and administration. Although Wilson drew a line of demarcation between politics and administration, yet he was dubious about stretching this line across the dizzy heights and dense jungles of practical government. Though to seems to be how he is saying, because one side he is saying public administration born because of the political activities of expansion of the activities of the state, government and politics. At the same time, he has a drawn distinction between that. That is why some of the people mention that politics and administration are the both sides of the same coin according to the Woodrow Wilson. Wilson supported the thesis of separability of politics and administration by saying that administrative questions are not political questions, or politics is the special province of the statesmen, politicians, administration is for the technical officers, and administration lies outside the proper sphere of politics. But at the same time, he accepts the interdependence and close relationship between politics and administration. Wilson postulates that no line of demarcation setting apart. As a student, all the time to keep in the mind of this line of demarcation, at the same time interdependence. He said the administrative questions are not political questions. What are the administrative questions? Recruitment is there, promotion is there, salary is there, transfers are there, the change of the departments are there. All these questions are not political questions. All these questions are the technical questions related to the administrators. Then politics, provincially it's related to a statesman and a politician. Administrations related to the technical officers, the job of the technical officers, and they rely upon lies outside the proper sphere of politics. For example, if you are recruiting, statement of recruitment is given by a public service commission or somebody, they will take care of according to that. Politics is nothing to do with that. There is a transfer, nothing to do that. There is a salary of administration paying every time, is nothing to do with that political systems. But at the same time, he accepts that there is a close relationship and interdependence between the politics and administration, because administrative system has to work under the political sphere, under the political system of the government. So, he has given about two things. One side, it is separated, it has to be studied separately. Another side, you have to be interdependent, we can't demarcate all the time. Administrative forms, non-administrative functions can be run between this and that development of government without being run down the hill over dizzy heights of distinction and through dense jungles of statutory enactments, hither and thither, around ifs and buts, whence and however, until they become altogether lost to the common aim. Thus, Wilson's views on relationship between politics and administration have a serious inconsistency, but the probable answer of Wilson would be that the politics from which administration should be free are the activities of political parties, not the process of public policy formulation. Here, Wilson clearly says that Here, Wilson clearly says that in continuation of this argument, Wilson has raised another point, that is, relationship between public opinion and administration. Wilson examined this problem as to what part shall be public opinion take into the conduct of administration, and his answer was that the role of public opinion should be that of authoritative critic. Therefore, the need is to make public opinion efficient without any other suffering. He says public opinion is an authoritative critic on the functioning system of administration. The people are saying, simply we say, how is your municipality is working? People say it's not good. Why they are saying not good? Because they are seeing a drainage system, they are seeing other things, they are saying that water systems are not perfect. Hence the people are coming to a comment, it is an authoritative critic, because they are facing it, they are experiencing it. Hence, they are going to have a right to comment on you. And the duty of the government and duty of the administration is they have to change themselves. So, impact of public opinion, all the relationship of the public opinion on administration has to be there. According to Wilson, directly exercised in the oversight of the daily details and the choice of the daily means of government, public criticism is of course a clumsy nuisance, a rustic handling delicate machinery. But as superintending the greater force of formative policy alike in politics and administration, public criticism is altogether safe and beneficent, altogether indispensable. Wilson postulated that administrative studies should find the best means for giving public criticism this control and for shutting it out from all other interference. He says, to listen the public criticism in the daily means of the government, we feel that it's a clumsy nuisance every day. Why, what is these people are talking? And a rustic handling of a delicate machinery. We feel like that. We are doing a very great things, the people are unhappy about it. But the question is very clear. Public criticism is altogether is safe to correct ourselves. And it's beneficent and indispensable. You can't stop because they are giving their opinion based on daily experience. So, he says all administrative studies all the time to see that best means of understanding the public criticism, and this is the best means of control the bureaucracy is the public criticism and the public opinion. Later part of his article, he explained another importance of the indispensability of civil service. According to Wilson, the improvement of public opinion, the civil servants of a high caliber are required. Therefore, Wilson felt the need of a technically trained civil service. Wilson unambiguously stated that the civil servants are the apertures of government. Hence, it will be necessary to organize a democracy by setting up competitive examinations and selecting the best candidates. He has given this opinion behind the backdrop of Americans' spoil system. In the spoil system in America, whenever a government party has changed, the president, a new party has come to the power, they are going to remove all the bureaucrats everywhere and they are going to appoint the new bureaucrats based on the auction. It has created a lot of problem in an American society. So, taking the examples and experiences of the spoil system of America, Woodrow Wilson straight away said that to run a democratic system, we need a technically trained caliber people. And this technically trained caliber people, we have to select through competitive examinations. Then only a country is going to get the best minds to run the country. Wilson believed that the civil servants were in principle not involved in the policy formulation. He was strongly opposed to the creation of a bureaucratic elite not subject to democratic control. According to Wilson, the ideal for us is a civil service cultured and self-sufficient enough to act with a sense and vigor and yet so intimately connected with the popular thought by means of elections and constant public counsel as to find arbitrariness of class spirit quite out of the question. Woodrow Wilson has identified the important areas for the study of public administration, whether it is a historical aspects of administration, administration and the state and nature, and the comparative systems, and the politics administration dichotomy, and the importance of civil service, and the public opinion and its impact on the society. So, these are some fundamental questions and fundamental areas he has raised in his article of the study of administration. It was in 1887. So, Wilson's question in this presentation we started with about politics administration dichotomy. Again, in the politics administration dichotomy, just to recollect, he said one thing very clear: all administrative questions are not political questions, administration and politics are separate, civil servant is nothing to do with the policy making, civil servant duty is only execution, but at the same time administrative system has to interdepend upon a political system. This was the politics and administration dichotomy. Separation is necessary, but at the same time interdependence is compulsory. This was the understanding of the Wilson. In continuity of the Wilson's argument of the politics administration dichotomy, another important personality, Frank J. Goodnow. He was a personality, actually has given his opinions little bit different of the Wilson later part. Professor Frank J. Goodnow, he was an American educator and legal scholar born in Brooklyn, New York. After a private schooling, he graduated from the Amherst College in 1879 and from the Columbia Law School in 1882. In Columbia, in addition to such as subjects essential for admission to the Bar Council, he took courses in public law and jurisprudence in the School of Political Science. Later in 1882, he was offered a position at the School of Political Science on the condition that he prepare himself with a year of studies abroad. He studied in the École Libre des Sciences, Politics in Paris and the University of Berlin. So, made an adjunct professor in 1887, Frank J. Goodnow became the professor of administrative law in 1891, and in 1903 a professor of administration law and the municipal science. He became the first president of American Political Science Association in 1903. Theodore Roosevelt, at the time governor, made him a member of that commission to draft a new charter of Greater New York, and President Taft, American President Taft, choose him as a member of his Commission on Economy and Efficiency. He was considered an important early scholar in the field of public administration and administrative law, as well as an expert in government. Goodnow argued for the centrality of law in public administration. Other public administration theorists have argued that other non-legal values ought to guide civil servants. And moreover, the Frank J. Goodnow's classic work, that is what we call is the first book in public administration, that is Politics and Administration, was published in 1900. The title of the book was Politics and Administration, a Study of Government. Aims to express the separation of government authority beyond the traditional executive, legislative and judicial traits. Goodnow distinguishes and explains the dichotomy between elected legislature who enact the will of the state versus the officials and entities that are responsible for the execution of that will. Goodnow outlines the separation of political and administrative authority in a comparative analysis between the United States and a number of European countries. His analysis and suggestions are predicated upon the efficient and legitimate formulation and exercise of the will of the people and the source of administrative legitimacy, while the function of politics consists in the expression of the will of the state. The function of executing the will of the state has been called administration. The relation of politics to administration is one of the separation and subordination. Goodnow argues that while politics can never be completely apart from administration, popular government requires that it is the executing authority which shall be subordinate to the expressing authority. The executing authority, according to Goodnow, should be one of the centralized administration in contrast to decentralized or local administration, and it should also not be overly controllable by the expressing authority for fear of impartial administration. If we are becoming the subordinate to the politics, if we are becoming the centralized administrative systems, then slowly we have a, he says, we have a fear that impartiality we lose. Once we become subordinate to political system, once we become centrality will go, then automatically impartiality of administration will out and they will become subordinate to the politics. Hence his argument is politics and administration two separate entities. Political parties, according to the Goodnow's point, they are central to the architecture of a popular government and efficient administration. His reasoning is that the role of powerful yet responsible political parties are a necessary means of expressing and executing the will of the state, and that power can be checked as necessary by government organs. Having a powerful political parties ensures that the will of the people is the will of the legislature, and thus through the aforementioned subordinate relationship results in the effective administration of the people's will. Whole of the discussion of the Frank J. Goodnow that political parties are related with a popular government, and a popular government needs an efficient administration. Goodnow's theory of a separation between politics and administration has pervaded the practice of public administration for years. The spoils system was abandoned long ago, and the civil service system has placed the power of administration generally out of the hands of the legislature. Slowly, whatever the Goodnow has stated has raised in America, spoil system has gone, a separate civil service system has come, and the power of administration generally out of the hands of the legislature has come. So Goodnow's ideas, whatever he has explained on the politics administration dichotomy, that is separation, both are two different entities, has proved in American democratic system. Now we are concluding the comments and arguments of the Woodrow Wilson and the Frank J. Goodnow. The essay, The Study of Administration, was considered a new beginning of the thinking on administration. Though Wilson did not regard his essay too highly, yet Wilson had admitted that he was merely presenting a semi-popular introduction to administrative studies and that it goes critically round the study, considering it from various outside points of view rather than entering it handling the proper topics. As a young teacher of government, Wilson presented not so much a scientific definition of administration as a challenge to the great evils of the day, spoils in politics and the patronage. Wilson failed to amplify what the study of administration actually entails, what the proper relationship should be between the administrative, political realms, and whether or not administration become an abstract science akin to the natural sciences. Wilson's article has been interpreted by later scholars in a number of different ways. Some have insisted that Wilson was the originator of the politics administration dichotomy. Others have countered that Wilson was well aware that public administration was innately political in nature. The reality of matter appears to be that Wilson himself was ambivalent about what public administration really was. Wilson was not alone in advocating a clear-cut separation of administration from politics. In 1879, Albert Stickney had argued in his True Republic that political servants must have duties of only one class. The men in the executive administration should have nothing to do with general legislation, and men who have to do with general legislation should not meddle with the details of administration of any one department. Another of Wilson's contemporaries who was greatly concerned about the mixing or meddling of politics with administration was Professor Frank J. Goodnow. Goodnow's definition was similar to Wilson's, although he made a technical distinction, which Wilson had rejected, between politics as execution of the will of the state and administration as the execution of that will. There was a little immediate reactions to Goodnow's queries about relating, not merely separating administration and politics. Wilson's well-phrased, though somewhat ambiguous, demarcation continued to be the accepted formula among many political scientists and most specialists in public administration. Nevertheless, Wilson unquestionably posited one unambiguous thesis in his article that has had lasting impact, that public administration was worth studying. His article can certainly be termed as seminal. The article marks the birth of public administration as a self-conscious inquiry or a generic course. So, this was the understanding of Woodrow Wilson and Frank J. Goodnow's contributions to the study of public administration. I am giving two questions for you to do some exercise on that. One, trace the importance of politics administration dichotomy according to Wilson. Two, what is the difference between Frank J. Goodnow's ideas and Wilson ideas on politics and administration relationship?